Welcome back to QD 14. This will be our last Loki episode. And when I say last, I mean for season 1. Because if you've seen the last episode, you know what's up. You know what's going to happen after. So, yeah, we're going to get into that a little bit later. But for right now, we will be talking about episodes 5 and 6 and everything that pretty much is happening or is going to happen.
So
and
much.
Yeah, very excited. That last episode was cool.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
last two episodes were
the last 2 episodes were really like a treat.
Yeah.
Like they were like, well, I mean, the whole season was really a treat. I think the slowest, most like time, like I guess what is it, like a filler episode?
Yeah.
No, like a filler episode would be like Lamentus 1, and that one was still like cool, but other than that, everything was insane. You know, we're getting Infinity Stones, we're getting different timelines, we're getting different variant Lokis.
Yeah.
It's insane. It's been a really crazy season.
Yeah, out of all the Marvel shows, we didn't really know exactly what to expect out of this one. I mean, we didn't know what to expect out of all of them, but like the treat that we got in Loki, it just really surpasses the last two in like where we currently are, where our imagination can go now.
Yeah.
They really, especially with these last 2 episodes, because the TVA alone and that whole concept was crazy, right? And we talked about in our last QD, we were like, okay, so the timekeepers aren't real. And that was already like a lot. And you had all this speculation of like, okay, is there another Loki that's running the TVA? Is
Mobius?
Is Mobius?
Is it Miss
Kang
Minutes?
gonna come here? Is it Miss Minutes? All kinds of stuff that was happening.
Yeah.
And we left off with this teaser of seeing 4 other variant Lokis, and Loki getting pruned, and we finding out that just because you're pruned doesn't mean that you're wiped completely from existence. So episode 5 just kicks off with us waking up with Loki in this new place, and he has 4 variants with him, and they're like, we have classic Loki played by Richard E. Grant.
Yay.
We have boastful Loki, we have kid Loki, and we have alligator Loki, which is just a nuts ensemble already.
I think the alligator's like actual name is like Loki Lagardo or something like that. I saw it trending on Twitter. I was like, okay, I guess that's his name.
Okay, all right. You know, we'll rock with it. I've seen Croaky. I've seen
Croaky, even though he's not a crocodile, but
he's not a crocodile.
People still gonna run with it. It's whatever. Croaky,
for sure. Whatever fits for the Twitter universe.
Yeah, there might be a crocodile Loki out there now, but
probably, man. But you know, this episode was really, I think it was the first time Marvel kind of said to everybody, you have no idea what we have in store.
No.
You know, everything else was kind of, it was like par the course. You know, WandaVision was a little crazy. And like, there were a couple things in it, you know.
Does this make Loki the superior Disney Plus show?
So far,
I think so. Yeah, I think so,
far.
Man.
Which is wild considering it just took these last 2 episodes to really like Shazam. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Splash.
For sure. They had like Loki with the episodes that came out with Loki. It was like a high efficiency. Like it was shooting very well. It was like KD type of efficiency here. There's really only one episode that we can make an argument for that was kind of like filler, like how, you know, Skywalker Mike was saying before we got on.
Yeah.
And it's so 5 out of 6 episodes being out of control is just solid all the way around. So I think we have to give it to Loki for being the best MCU Disney Plus show so far. And I don't know how any other show is really going to top it, but you know, we'll see.
You know what's going to top it? Season 2.
Season
Hey,
2.
I'm with you on
Yeah,
that. I'm with you on, and it's also the first MCU show that gets
To
a
get
season 2.
renewed for his second season.
Yeah.
yeah. I wasn't sure like how this season was gonna end. Like, if they're just gonna end it by killing Loki, or maybe he sacrifices himself to save everybody. Like something like that. But it's really cool because I did see a lot of screenshots of scenes that never showed in this season. And people thought that was going to be in episode 6. It was pretty much like Loki on a throne, and he was like a king somewhere. And that didn't show up in episode 6 at all. So everybody's like, oh, that's for season 2. But it's weird because they included it in most of the trailers.
Which isn't the first time that Marvel's done something.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Like, you remember the Infinity War Endgame rollout? Hulk was there when he really wasn't there. Like, it's just one of those things.
But for the most part, for that one, like, it was the same scene. They just changed Hulk. But this one was a scene completely, like, looked like it was totally different context than anything that went on. So it was a little weird, maybe just a little teaser. Like, all right, just put this here so that way people can speculate something else, and then it's something else.
From what I heard that this show was originally supposed to be 12 episodes, and because of COVID, it got cut in half.
Okay.
So that
12
season
episodes.
2, yeah. So that season 2
might already
be filmed and might have some of the trailer in season, from season 2 in the trailer.
Yeah.
So,
and they just never went back to edit the trailers.
Yeah, because why? It's like why edit it?
12 episodes. That's crazy. That's so much.
Yeah.
I mean,
is it though? So much, bro. I mean, we'll jump into
it is when you think that the 5th episode gave you the Thanos copter.
Yeah.
I mean, like, come on now. That's
they also
insane.
gave the Kang Tower.
Yeah, and also the Sphinx, the time traveling Sphinx.
They also gave you Thor, like Frog Thor.
Yeah.
Yeah, Throg.
His name is Throg.
Throg,
Put some respect.
We gotta put
my
some
boy
respect
Throg.
on Throg's name.
I wonder how he got there.
I don't know, man. But that sucks.
Someone pointed out that it's like the first Avengers when Thor was stuck inside the chamber on the shield ship. Yeah. Except he's in a jar.
That's
crazy.
Yeah, that's
crazy.
pretty cool.
What if that's when it happened? Like he just never got out of it, and like because he didn't go out of it, like the TVA had to take him. It was like, oh, man, like he didn't.
That was the variant. The variant was that he never escaped.
He never escaped, so they lost the Battle of New York, and he was like, all right, we got to take you, man.
Oh, this is your fault, Frog.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
I've heard rumors also that Throg is going to be in Thor 4, right? Yeah,
Love and Thunder.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because they want to incorporate more animal characters. Like I know we have Groot and Rocket Raccoon, but they really want to incorporate variances of animal Avengers, and that's happens to be just one of them.
It's wild that variance is gonna.
Who knows?
Spider Pig.
Yeah,
bro. Variance is just gonna be.
We do have Spider Pig.
Variance is stuck in the MCU forever now.
I mean,
like
it's so crazy because who would have thought that the first variants that we were gonna get are Loki's, right? Yeah. So we get this start of this episode. We have classic Loki that just tells Loki in a Loki fashion that like, hey, stop asking questions. We need to get out of here because that thing is trying to swallow us. And that thing that he's talking about is this giant cloud consuming matter consuming beast, which is named Alioth, which if you read some of the comics, you guys know that Alioth has been associated with the Void, and the Void is where they are actually at. This is where everything comes to die. So we're seeing buildings like I saw there was a sanctum that was there.
Yeah, there was.
There was Red Skull's escape pod that was there. There was
also a
copter.
Yeah, Thanos copter. There's also the ship. The one I just mentioned, the shield ship.
Yeah, they had the helicarrier.
Helicarrier. There we go.
They had the Dark Aster, which is a Ronin ship, which is They had all of these things.
That helmet too from
From
Yellow Jacket.
Yellow Jacket's helmet.
Yeah.
Yes.
So overgrown, so that's cool.
That's crazy that it was overgrown too, and like you see the statue of the Living Tribunal. It was just every scene. This is the first episode where it was almost like a Where's Waldo kind of episode, where like, or what was the book? I Spy. It was like an I Spy book, like where I was freezing the episode frame by frame, trying to see what I can see, and I'm sure I missed stuff, and there are things that people haven't caught yet.
Yeah,
but it was incredible because they really threw so much at you at one time. Like you felt like Loki because you were like in this new place, surrounded by people that you don't know, and you had to move fast because your life was on the line. Right. And so he just had to go with them. And one of the tidbits that I really liked was the interaction between Loki and Kid Loki, when Kid Loki was just kind of like not really bossing them around, but just like he had a plan. Like he was very like, all right, like this is what we're gonna do. And classic Loki was like, you need to listen to him. Like, and Loki's like, why? And how are you king? Because he already had like some of the ornaments that would give him king already. Loki recognizes that because in his timeline it's probably the same. And he said, well, my Nexus event was I killed Thor. And it was like, yo, okay.
Yeah, that was pretty. Like, that was probably like a really dark moment because at that point, I thought I was gonna see like Loki kind of like smirk or like like surprised, but he seemed like, wow, you really killed our brother. Like he seemed down about it that they killed Thor because he found a newfound love of Thor at the beginning of Loki season 1 when he saw pretty much his whole life flash before his eyes.
And he's always loved his brother, as we've seen with classic Loki when he starts to tell his backstory. He's always loved his brother, So for Kid Loki to get to the point where he actually succeeded in killing him, there's a lot of story that's there, which hopefully we get explored because Kid Loki is a young Avenger. So it was just really cool being able to see that.
Yeah. Now, one of the things that I really liked in episode 5 was the interaction of all the Lokis. Pretty much, like, it's just crazy because they're the same type of personality. They think the same. And, this is when they're in the bottom of that bomb shelter or whatever they're in. And Loki's like, I got a plan. Like, are you guys going to help me? And then they just all start laughing. They're like, yeah, whatever. Like, it's not going to work. So he leaves, but at the top, when he's leaving, is 9 more Lokis standing there. And President Loki and just different types of Lokis as well.
There was like a steampunk Loki. There was a ninja Loki. Yeah. There was a Rasta Loki. It was nuts, man, the way that they did it.
And they actually had powers as well. Because at first I wasn't sure if they were all Lokis or they were just people who followed Loki. Like, oh, this guy survived. Let's just follow him down here.
Right.
But yeah, it turns out they were all Lokis because when they were all fighting, I saw them using their powers against each other. Which is funny. Right before they're fighting, he's like, Kid Loki was like, well, you don't belong down here. And then boastful Loki's like, well, I betrayed you. And now I get to take the throne. And then the other Loki's like, well, not exactly. And he's like, we had an agreement. He's like, yeah, nah, bro. That's not going to happen. And then the other Lokis turned on that Loki. I was like, damn, this is so crazy.
Yeah, and like, Loki seeing how he's so ridiculous sometimes. Like he's like, damn it, like this is how it actually happens. I can't even trust myself. This is how it happens.
Yeah.
And through right before that fight, I think classic Loki, who's the oldest of all the Lokis and donning his classic Loki uniform from the comics, which is hilarious because Richard E. Grant just looks like he's in a Halloween costume, but it's like it's awesome. But he mentions like a form of growth that I think separates him from all the other Lokis. And he was like, all you Lokis like weapons. You guys always use your blades, but nothing compares to magic.
Yeah.
And like, we know that Loki learned magic from his mom. So like classic Loki must have spent a lot of time with his mom learning magic above.
Yeah, it seems like he was the
sorts.
strongest Loki there.
Yeah, in a sense, like he provided a without even really like him understanding, because the whole thing is that Loki feels like that they're all the same, but classic Loki was clearly different,
Right.
and he didn't really even realize it. You know, he thought that he was the same also, but he just thought that there were preferences that were there. But it's like what he proved was that with determination, you can be better than you think that you are, which Loki ends up mentioning about classic Loki later on in the episode.
Yeah, later in when they're escaping, they're like, well, it seems like we can never trust each other. We're always stabbing each other in the back when, you know, somebody trusts us. And then the kid Loki says, and then even when we try to change, the TVA prunes us and sends us here. You know, so it's like a never-ending circle of always losing, you know, either losing someone because you backstab them or losing yourself because you wanted to get better.
Exactly. And speaking of pruning, on the other side of the pruning, we have Sylvie and Renslayer trying to figure out what, like, they're doing this dance of like, you don't know whether to trust Renslayer or not. Sylvie has her hostage, so to speak. And Miss Minutes is trying to get some files so that Sylvie can figure out what's going on. And Renslayer basically stalls her enough to get other TVA agents in there. And Sylvie prunes herself, realizing that she kind of doesn't have anywhere to go, and she's not going to go out getting pruned by them. She'd rather do it herself.
I don't even think they would have pruned her. Kind of like what they did with Hunter B-15. You know, just keep her in an actual cell. I feel like that would have been worse, because Ravonna knows what there is. There's a void. She knows that most people don't come, or anybody can come back, which is not true anymore, I guess, since somebody came back. But I don't think they would have pruned her. They would have probably kept her in like one of those cells that they had B-15 in. Because I was surprised they didn't prune B-15.
Yeah, me too. I feel you on that. And, you know, so Sylvie ends up entering the void, and Alioth starts going after her, and we see none other than our man Mobius coming to her rescue in a car, which is hilarious because
it's like a pizza car or something like that.
A pizza car, and like, you know, the last thing he did with Disney was Cars, so it's like him pulling up in a car is pretty.
Imagine if they had Life as a Highway playing.
No.
Or if he was just like singing it to himself, that'd be
Life is
meta.
a highway. Imagine he just whipping. He was like, "Wow,
no,
wow."
I heard like people were waiting for him to say "wow," and then the director was like, "Yeah, there's nowhere, anywhere where he says wow." And I was like,
I was hoping like there was just a Sea-Doo somewhere, and he saw the Sea-Doo, and he was like, "Wow."
I mean, they might save it for later, you know. They might do a ka-chow in there.
Yeah,
wow,
ka-chow.
Maybe not. I feel like they probably won't.
No, they won't, but still, it's fan service.
I bet Deadpool will do it. Deadpool will do it.
Yeah, Deadpool will do that. Yeah, for sure. They'll just break the fourth wall with that.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, we get a glimpse at pretty much where the villain, I guess, is staying when Sylvie touches Alioth and kind of enchants him for a bit. She gets a quick little vision, and then that's when she realizes, oh, maybe I can actually get to the villain or whoever's there.
She's like, Alioth has something to do with where we have to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then they create a plan, and Loki kind of was like, we'll just go through the back door. And then he realizes, we can't do that.
We can't do that because they have, I forgot the name of the ship, but that ship is significant as well because like there's a story, I believe, just in our history that ship was like teleported to a different place, and everybody who was like in the crew went crazy, and it was like this whole conspiracy theory that happened. I forgot the name of it, but that was kind of what they were emulating, of like having the ship arrive there in the void, and then Alioth just annihilating it in seconds.
No, it's and then we get the whole little tidbit with I don't know. I really like all the shots of Loki Lagardo when anything, like any moment, and then he just grumbles and they just pan the camera to him for no reason.
They also know what he's saying.
Yeah, they know what he's saying. They're like, oh, he agrees with me. Like, no, he's actually afraid. He's praying. Yeah. I'm like, damn.
And I love how they always include him. Like, if they do, they don't forget him in any shots.
Yeah,
if they go to everybody, then they go to him too. Like, you just get this low shot of the alligator. It was hilarious.
Yeah.
But that brings us to their plan. So you have Sylvie, you have Mobius, and you have these Lokis. And Mobius and Loki decide to part ways. Mobius decides to go back to the TVA to start waking some of these variants up and rescuing B-15. And Sylvie plans to enchant Alioth, and Loki says, I'm going to be here with you. I'll be the distraction while you do it, and we'll figure it out kind of as we go. And that doesn't quite go to plan. He wasn't distracting enough, and then we see classic Loki come out and create this illusion of Asgard that fakes out Alioth.
Not only that, but it was so spot on, just showing how powerful he was.
It was lit, bro. It was like, I loved how the music kicked up around that, and it was just so epic. And having him say like glorious purpose.
Yeah, he finally served his purpose. Yeah.
Yes. It was just, it almost brought a tear to my eye if I would have thought about it like too much. But I was just like, let's go. Like that's how you go out for sure.
Yeah.
So it's cool that they actually completed a Loki arc with classic Loki while also propelling this thing forward.
And I think he was the one. I mean, he was the wisest. He was the oldest. He had realized much more than all the other Loki variants had ever realized in their lives. So he was at peace. I think he was at peace with himself. Was the reason why he sacrificed himself.
Yeah.
So that was a cool way to
know. Yeah, we don't know where Alligator Loki went, or we don't know where Kid Loki went.
Yeah.
So maybe in season 2. We might see them. I was hoping that Mobius was going to bring them back.
I think they'll play a bigger role. No, they didn't want to leave with him. They said it like, we will stay here. We know how to fight Goliath type stuff.
I have a feeling they're going to go back, not necessarily for them, but they're just going to go back to where you get pruned. And they just so happen to tag along with them and jump through the multiverse with them or jump through the TVA with them.
Yeah, something next season for sure. I think Kid Loki will play a bigger role.
And not only that, because he has to jump into the Young Avengers somehow. So they're gonna drag him into the multiverse.
It could be with the Iron Lad.
Could be with the Iron Lad. So we end this episode by seeing this floating castle, and nobody knows what's going on. But Alioth has now been enchanted, and Loki and Sylvie are holding hands, about to enter this castle, and the episode just stops. And I was left on the edge of my seat. Like, what did we just watch?
No post-credit scene, nothing. Like, I was like, damn, really? You guys gave us a post-credit scene in 4?
In 4, yeah.
That was the weirdest. I was expecting, I was like, damn, we're getting post-credit scenes this early? Like, we're going to get them in 5 and 6. Nothing.
Nope.
Just in 4. Just in 4. So,
which I think is like the perfect episode for it, though. Like, out of all the episodes, I'm glad it was that one.
Yeah, because
they flipped everything on its head, with episode.
Not only that, but like, I feel bad for those that didn't watch the post credit scene, because it jumps to episode 5. Like, who the hell are these guys?
Yeah, for sure. It just kind of comes out of nowhere. So, that brings us to the finale, guys.
Huzzah!
Crazy. I feel like the finale was hardly like. I forgot it was a show about Loki. Like, I really did.
Yeah.
Especially like with the intro of a new character, because you would never think, oh, they're going to introduce a new character in the last episode.
Well, our predictions were wrong in that sense too.
Yeah, in a sense. I mean, everybody thought we were going to see this character way earlier because, you want a show to flesh out a character. You want character development. And, you just want more of it. But then to see it actually happening in episode 6 and actually plays out better than you would have thought or anybody would have thought. It's just so crazy.
We had our Mephisto speculation, our power broker, U.S. agent kind of speculation of what we were gonna see, and this time, Marvel delivered. They said we're gonna show you who you need to care about. And you're right. The last episode didn't really feel like a Loki episode, and I think it's because the 5th episode was the Loki episode.
Yeah, right.
It was like because
that was like the finale.
Loki, that was the finale for Loki because it was swarmed with Loki. We saw every iteration of Loki. We saw every fault of Loki be addressed, and then we saw him triumph beyond that. So narratively speaking, for the character, it was complete. And all we needed now was to like find out who's behind the TVA. Like that's literally all that we needed, and we got an entire episode of it with the introduction. Well, first of all, Miss Minutes just appearing out of
hey y'all.
Oh hey y'all. I was
that was
like,
scary.
Super scary. What?
I know it was like a jump scare when I rewatched.
Yeah, it was a jump scare.
Yeah.
I saw a video of or a picture. You know how they do like the top 10 most scary moments? It was like the top 10 most jump scares in Marvel, and it was like Miss Minutes and I forgot who else, but it was really funny. It was really funny to see that.
Yeah, man, that was cool. And Miss Minutes starts talking to them. Yeah, it just starts talking to them as if like she knows what's been going on the whole time, and this is another instance of like how I would say like the first episode was when we saw the Infinity Stones and they weren't anything. They were just like, oh, we just use it as placeholders. She was just kind of like, oh, do you want the Infinity Gauntlet? Like, do you want to win? Like, we can give that to you. Like, do you want to kill Thanos? Like, we can give that to you. And I'm just watching this like, okay, this is just way beyond what we've been watching. Like, this is crazy right now. Whatever we thought was going on with Thanos, it's 100 times like worse. Like the situation is 100 times worse.
Well, it's like the storyline is like it's set in stone, right? Because we're watching it, but it's not set in stone. Like anything can happen, anything can be given and changed at any moment. At least that's what they were offered. You know what I mean?
I mean, they just kind of showed. It's just like, I don't know if there's like a term for it, but they just dwarfed whatever power we thought was like the threshold,
like because like with the snap of the fingers, no pun intended, like they could literally change that whole timeline, like that's how it was supposed to happen.
Everything we invested in, all 23 movies.
I spent 10 years.
Yeah, pretty much. We spent 10 years following this thing, and they were just like, yeah, like we can just change it, like it's nothing.
My child is gone.
That just made me like, I love that. That gave me goosebumps and like chills, because I like when there's an appropriate establishing of power, when it's disproportionate, like how Star Wars does, with their movies. There's like a disproportionate level of power with Rey and like all that other stuff. But like this one is following exactly what we need. Like you had Thanos within the capsule of the universe, and now we've broken out of that capsule, and we get introduced to
enough of Thanos. I'm done.
We're done. We're done with him. It doesn't matter. He does
I'm done
not
hearing
matter.
his name. Yeah,
we got his helicopter though.
Even with his helicopter, it just goes to show you, it's like,
cool.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I don't care about him. And like, I'm rewatching, you're
rewatching
the Infinity
everything.
Saga. So I'm looking at this thing like, oh man, none of this matters. Like, who cares? Like, who wants to watch Black Widow? Like, why do we care about that? Like, this is what's happening after all of this.
I feel like, episode 6 alone was better than Black Widow, and obviously because it's different. That's like an Earth movie, and this is I wouldn't even say cosmic. I don't even know.
It's a void movie. Best way to put it.
It's just multiversal. So with this episode and with the introduction of this character, we are out of the MCU now, and we are in the MCM. We are in the Marvel Cinematic Multiverse.
Hey,
yes,
I like that.
MCM.
Yeah, we're in the MCM now.
Yeah,
And,
bro. I'm in the Man Crush Monday. Let's go. I'm all for
you
it.
know, if you guys are watching this on YouTube
This-
right now, if
this
you look
dude,
right behind Skywalker,
That's the MCM right there.
that's the
Man Crush
MCM
Monday.
right there.
It's my
yes.
MCM. I know that's right, bro. So what's
This
wild
dude is
that
insane.
his name is never said.
Yeah, it's never
So-
said, but we know who he is.
So he's the one who remains. Name is never said. Of course, us people that read comics, that do their studying, their preparedness
Yeah.
for it, we know who he is. But
Yeah,
the average viewer, no clue.
yeah. I wouldn't even say like you need to read comics to know who he is because he was already confirmed to be Kang in Ant-Man. You know, so we know he's gonna come up again. So
Yeah.
it's crazy to see him introed into one episode show where it's like, how much importance does he really have? But he really just lays it all out for us, like what is what, you know, why he's doing this, and it's. I mean, let's get into that pretty much. Like
yes, for real.
I mean, when we see him show up, like I was blown away. I was like,
Absolutely
wow.
blown away.
I was like,
I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe
Nah,
it
'cause
that
I
they did it.
I love his performance in Lovecraft Country. I love his performance in that
Into Five Bloods.
in the Five Bloods. He's in another movie I think I seen recently. I don't remember, but he is just going off for like he's got some Emmys lined up that he might win, and then now he probably even has more Emmys that he's going to be lined up for next year with this, with just a single performance in episode 6 of a show.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
so
And I love the approach that he took. So for
I
people
love
who
the
don't know-
snarkiness that he brings.
for people who don't know, Kang is a time traveling warlord and a conqueror of sorts. And we always knew that Kang was coming because aside from the casting that was announced, when the Avengers time traveled, we knew that, okay, there's only one villain that deals with time travel in this kind of way. And they got to start making room for him because he has just a crazy backstory, crazy lore, and there's a lot of ways that they can take it. So they did the smartest thing ever, and they introduced us to a variant of Kang, which is He Who Remains. And even He Who Remains is an amalgamation of another character that is He Who Remains and a character named IMMORTUS, which is a Kang variant. And they've kind of combined both of them. Which is something that we should have known because the whole pruning thing, like IMMORTUS is known as the gardener of time, you know, so the whole pruning thing really, really made sense, and the kind of the branches and the trees and everything like that.
I saw people mention like the theories of Immortus. I, for one, didn't know who Immortus was, and I didn't see enough people talking about it. Like I saw like people here and there, and I was like, I don't know, it's probably going to be Kang, but I mean, it's pretty much both. It's the same.
Yeah.
Thing.
Yeah, they're all the same, and his explanation was just we basically got 30 minutes of him describing
bro. So the dialogue was so well done.
Yeah, he's so good.
I lost track of time while watching it because I was so caught up in this episode. But it literally felt like he was freestyling everything. Like he is the villain. Like this is my show now. Yeah. I'm here now.
Yeah.
And he just took over me. And it's here. I'm here now.
He doesn't even believe he's a villain. I mean, he said it himself, like, I'm probably the most, you know, I probably show the most remorse out of all the Lokis. I mean, Loki's
where Kings. Like he said no, it was all facts. Sylvie's a hypocrite. She's a murderer. They've all done crazy things.
Like, grow up. I love that. He's like,
bro.
Grow up, Sylvie.
Bro, that's the way he would enunciate certain things like Conqueror.
Even their names.
Loki. Loki.
Yeah. And like, it was just this coy. It was cool. It was coy. It was crazy because he played like this insane hold up person because like, that's where he's been. He's just been.
He does seem a little like,
he's
mixed up in the head.
He's gone way too far, and that was the testament to like his old, you know, like his just kind of
I feel like
he's been doing this for eons.
I feel like when we see him next time, he's not going to be this snarky, or Koi. You know, he probably might be a little bit. Who knows the next version we might see?
Exactly.
You know, we know we were gonna get him in Ant-Man, but we can probably see him before as just Nathaniel Richards before he even becomes Kang. You know, So we might get him as timid. We might get him as maybe before he even gets like to be a genius, or before he finds out that the timelines are stacked upon each other.
Right. It's going to be incredible the way that they set this up. Now, we thought that the variants existed within Loki being and the TVA, but this proves that everyone is a variant. Everyone has variants. So all of our heroes and villains and everybody that we've seen, they all have variants.
Right.
And that means that anything is possible, because like how he was saying, you know, this multiversal war was happening with all of these versions of him that were conquering, and he was able to weaponize Alioth to devour all of their timelines. And as long as he keeps this sacred timeline together, it's a necessary evil, basically. It's like, you know,
he said it.
Either control this or anything could happen at that point.
I remember when we were talking about in Lamentus, like, oh, the TVA doesn't even matter. But I mean, he said it himself. He says it works. Like, it might not, you know, it might be a little deceptive, but the mission has never changed. You know, it works. So that was interesting to hear.
Yeah, for sure, man. And just through this dialogue, the other twist is that he offers the Lokis the opportunity to do it themselves.
I'm surprised they said no. I am so shocked.
It just goes back to the beginning, like they're meant to lose. Like it's been said from the beginning.
It's all in their head, you know. Like they're finally given a moment where they can win, and nobody's gonna swipe it away. The Hulk isn't gonna come in and punch them. Iron Man isn't gonna blast through the ceiling and be like, "What are y'all doing?" It's literally just them three. Like and they just said no.
Bro, they shoot themselves in the leg.
I think Loki really wanted to think about it. Loki was at a point where he
and not
was
even
like, okay,
not even to actually conquer, but to save. Like he knew this was bigger than himself.
This is the most selfless.
He was selfless.
Yeah, the most selfless Loki we've seen throughout any Marvel film. And he just gets shot down. Yeah,
Sylvie was just she was bent on getting a resolve that she
didn't know anything else about that. Yeah, she didn't know. She had lived a life on the run. She didn't understand why, and she was finally there. And he said it wasn't personal; it was necessary. But to her, it was personal, and that's like go back. She was like, he was like, grow up, pretty much. But you know, she doesn't know anything.
A lot of times that's like that's us, you know what I mean? Like that's humans, where we take things personal, and in the bigger scheme of things, it's not personal, you know. But if it affects us in a certain way, it's like, nah, this is personal. And
so the moment, the way I viewed it is the moment that the branches started developing. That was the moment Sylvie decided, I'm gonna kill this guy.
Yeah, well, what did he say it was? That was the threshold.
That was the threshold. They crossed the threshold. There's basically no going back. Well, that was basically is do or like make your decision now, because once we redline, it's done. Like there's nothing you can do.
Because
they're over here.
He was doing that for a little while. Like anytime that the threshold would happen, he would send Alioth out to just be like start devouring them so that he can keep the timeline straight.
Right.
Yeah. No, so super crazy. Like while they're fighting, he's over here like, y'all better hurry up. Like the timeline is branching, and he's over here just chilling. Like he does obviously he doesn't know what's going on no more. He said himself, like, I don't know what's gonna happen after this. He's like, I'm being candid. Like I don't know what is gonna happen, but I'm okay with it. You know, and they're like, you're gonna let us decide your fate. And he's like, sure, what's the worst that can happen? Either you know, you guys take over and continue my life's work, or an infinite amount of me shows up and I still come back to this point anyways.
Which bugged me so much, because throughout this whole series, we're talking about variants.
Yeah.
Like, why would Sylvie think it's a lie that this big bad doesn't have variants of himself?
Exactly. That's what I was thinking. I feel like she threw everything that she knew out the window because she was already there. Even with Loki trying to talk her down from it, she was like a dog. Like, she did not want to hold back. Like, when you're holding a dog back and they just don't want to stop barking or going, like, attacking. Like, that was pretty much her. She was blinded with rage, I guess.
Loki should have killed her, honestly. I feel like
I
know that he couldn't, but he should have, though. That would have been the thing to do.
And that would have gone back to, being a Loki stabbing somebody in the back when they trust you, even though she didn't trust him. But it would have just it would have still fulfilled that Loki prophecy of always losing, because he's gonna lose somebody he finally loves. He was finally selfless for once in his life. He realized this moment was bigger than anything, and I wish Sylvie would have thought it the same way, but she didn't live the same life as him. She said it himself, like, I'm not you.
Yeah.
So.
And then with that, she sent him through a time portal. But at this time, branches were already being made. So Sylvie turns around and she commits to what she had planned to do all along. And she was surprised that he didn't beg for his life, but it's because he knows that he's going to be back.
I could. Yeah.
He was like, I could do that, but if you want me to. Like,
not only that, but his last words, bro.
Oh.
Speaks volumes for the next 4 to 5 MCU films.
Yep.
I'll see you soon.
I'll see you soon. With a wink.
Yeah.
Get stabbed.
Yeah, he did wink, huh? Yeah.
It's so crazy that they killed him off, but it's like,
yeah,
we know. Oh yeah, he's not.
That's
dead.
not even.
Yeah. And Sylvie
that's
starts
IMMORTUS.
Crying.
IMMORTUS is dead. Yeah.
Yes. So IMMORTUS is dead. Sylvie starts crying, and she doesn't have anywhere to go. And like she I don't know what she's gonna do. She has to like talk to Miss Minutes or something like that. But I think Sylvie realized that what she actually wanted, she sent through the portal, which was Loki. So the last thing we get is her crying on the ground, and then we go to Loki, and Loki's like, okay, all right, this must have happened, but like I gotta get back into form. Mobius made it back. Let me go find him, and we'll start figuring out a plan and getting there like he always does. And Loki runs over, finds Mobius and B-15, and they do not recognize Loki.
Yeah,
I don't know about you guys, but that hurt me. I was like, oh no, they didn't.
Well, it was crazy because he said it like, we can't stop it. He's like, what did you say? I was like, what? Yeah. Like we're right there, bro.
I was so confused too. I was like, huh?
Yeah, and then he was
that's
like,
when I did like one of these where you're like,
yeah,
because you start to realize like what it is that's happening, and this dude looks at the statue.
Who are you?
And
that's what
you see,
who are you?
Yeah, the statue. Yeah, the reveal of the statue
of Kang.
Yeah,
he's in Kang the Conqueror's timeline. We don't know if that's the only, but he's in Kang's timeline though, like specifically.
The Kang, the one that we should be concerned about.
The one that we have to be concerned about. It's not a game.
Yeah.
It's not a game at all. And this, first of all, the multiverse looked beautiful with the nebula branching out in the way that it did.
Yeah,
but this confirms, like how we said, the MCM, every possible thing is on the table now. Kevin Feige did it. He did.
I mean, he said he
elegantly
said
as well.
This show is gonna be the one that affects everything the most.
Right.
And we thought that was gonna happen. WandaVision didn't happen. We obviously probably didn't think that was gonna happen in
Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Yeah.
So I mean, I knew that this show was going to be big in some way, simply off the fact is because the way the show started. It's the Battle of New York, and pretty much I blame Hulk for all this. Hulk caused the multiversal war.
Yeah.
So if it wasn't for his hate, his pretty much his hate
He
for
should have just
stairs.
jumped out the window.
He could have.
Just jump out the window, fam.
He could have. That's how he got up there. He didn't take the
Yeah,
elevator.
I know.
Stairs up there.
exactly.
I hate stairs. So yeah, that's where it all started, and it's like just off Endgame, while watching Endgame, seeing that happen, I already knew, oh my god, that's going to be huge. But it's in the back of your mind because of all the stuff that's happening in Endgame, and then now to see that Endgame doesn't even matter.
It doesn't even matter,
crazy.
bro. Like this.
While we're watching Loki disappear, it already doesn't matter when he disappears. So it's so crazy.
And it's so insane. Like the implications that this means is it's really out of control. And I can't believe that they pulled it off. Like they really, really pulled it off. And they did it in a way that is just so exciting. And now every movie that comes out from here, we have no idea what timeline it's in. Zero.
Yeah.
We don't know where it takes place. We don't know when it takes place. We don't know who's going to pop up. They're going to cast all kinds of people to pull up in these movies that we wish that we saw before, that we haven't seen before. There's tons of speculation that this means.
I think I say this very often, just in like any podcast episode, like movies and shows are giving us things nowadays that we didn't know we wanted, especially Marvel. It's like we didn't know we wanted IMMORTUS, but we got it. So it's just so crazy. They're finally giving us, just things like pretty much like stuff that's deep in comic books. So, Throg, we got Throg. And I remember the week before that episode of Throg came up, I found out about him. So it was just interesting. And I didn't like theorize that he was going to be in the show or anything, but I just thought it was cool. And then out of nowhere, he just shows up in the Loki episode. Like that tripped me out that the universe was like playing with me like that. But yeah, I mean, it's just this show, this universe, this company is just going insane right now.
Absolutely. Final thoughts.
Take my
guys?
money. Take my money.
Final thoughts. Season 2 is going to happen before Love and Thunder. And it was a really good show. I want to watch it all the way through again.
The reason why Spider-Man Far From Home would be called Far From Home is because he's going to be in another multiverse. Which is
No Way
Home. Neither way, you know what I meant.
Yeah,
No Way Home. Yeah, because there'd be no way home. He can't get there unless he has the help of who else? Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Yes. I am thoroughly impressed, and I say protect Kevin Feige at all costs.
Is it Feige or Feige?
Whatever, doesn't matter. Protect him.
It's both because he has
him.
Different variants.
He has variants.
Oh my gosh.
He cannot get hurt. His brain cannot be messed up. Nothing can happen because
you mean to tell me
the point right now where, bruh, he's at the point right now where he can do everything he's ever dreamed of doing.
Yeah.
And they set it up perfectly, and I'm here for it.
I don't think I've ever been more excited for an actor more than Jonathan Majors. And I mean, it's just simply a fact that he's a really good actor.
Yes, the fact that the
really
Grammys
good.
or Emmys? Grammys or Emmys?
Emmys.
That they got announced 18 for Lovecraft and it's canceled.
Yeah.
Like
that's a different story. Oh, we talked about that in our recent episode.
Yeah, fumble the bag.
Check out episode 51 when you guys get a chance.
Yeah, we do mention a little bit
if you
of Jonathan Majors. So yeah.
Yes.
My man Crush Monday. Gang.
Good stuff, guys. Great show. And we'll see all of you guys, all of you listeners out there. Make sure and check us out on SoundFlick, wherever you listen to podcasts, or on YouTube if you guys want to check out our episodes. We have new episodes coming out all the time. So keep up with us. Follow us on Instagram at SoundFlickPod. And also, if you'd like to start a podcast yourself, reach out to productiveculture.com/podcast and let them know that the SoundFlick Boys sent you. Until then, keep all of your variants in check.
Hey,
and we'll see you on the sacred timeline.
Peace.
Or in the multiverse. Sorry.
That's a good way to talk about my multiple personalities.
Later.